false color is an exposure aid that provides feedback on the brightness of the areas in your scene based on the luminance level of the video data that the camera or monitor is seeing. Now, in my R5 Mark II and R5C video series, I looked at the false color capabilities of those two cameras, and in part of that process, I mentioned that there are several approaches to false color patterns outside of the Arri style pattern that Canon uses. In this video, we're going to look at some of those other patterns, as well as how to use false color assistance mode on an Atomos monitor or recorder. Now, specifically, I will be demonstrating the false color system that's implemented on a Ninja Ultra, but any Atomos monitor running Atomos OS 11 will look and act the same. Now, as always is the case when using assistance functions on an HDMI display, you need to correctly set up your camera's HDMI output so that monitor works correctly. Now, the exact setup you'll need to use will depend on your camera and, of course, brand. However, if you're a Canon user, I have already covered these options for the EOS R5 and its siblings, as well as the newer R5 Mark II and its siblings like the R1. I've linked those videos in the description and all of the usual places so that you can find them. Now, in addition to correctly setting up your camera's output, you will also need to configure your recorder's input settings so that it knows what's going on. Now, while Atomos monitors can automatically configure themselves for broadcast standard curves and gamuts like Rec. 709, BT2100 HLG, and BT2100 perceptual quantization or PQ, they can't do the same thing for the manufacturer custom log curves like Canon Log 2 and 3. Moreover, at least in the case of Canon cameras, even if there was a way for the recorder to do that, when the camera is set to output or record in log format, the camera sends metadata for Rec. 709 while obviously not using that gamma curve and color space, instead of something custom that says that this is Canon log. Now, on Atomos monitors, this configuration is done at the bottom of the input page in the monitor's menu system. Now, since I'm shooting these demos with a Canon R5C and Canon Log 3 with the Cinema Gamut, I'm going to set up my camera output settings to match and enable the log HDR switch on the left side. Once that's set up, we can move on to actually using the false color assistance function. To start with, to enable the false colors on an Atomos monitor, we use the false color monitoring feature icon. It's found on the second page or to the just off of the first page of icons that are brought up after you touch the monitoring button that is part of the main controls in the lower left side of the screen. Atomos' false colors don't have a lot of settings. In fact, in many ways, they're quite a bit easier to understand than their zebra stripes, since they also don't interact with any of the other monitor settings. Now, to select a false color pattern, simply touch the settings icon at the far right of the monitoring features icon toolbar, and then switch to the false color page. Here you'll find 3 false color patterns: Atomos, Zone, and Arri. Now, before we get into the details of the 3 false color patterns, there are a few things worth knowing about this false color system. To start with, when the false color is enabled, any LUTs, and by extension, at least based on my testing, any of the monitoring modes, are essentially disabled. False colors are always rendered as if your monitoring mode was set to native, and then anything that's in the image is going to be either colored or black and white. In addition, the Zone and Arri false color modes are only available with log and raw inputs, though this does include the broadcast standard HDR log formats in HLG and PQ. In short, this means that you're always working with the original signal data and not a processed version of it. Now, that said, when working with raw video or raw over HDMI, the false color information is based on the normal log curve for the camera. This may result in incorrect or inaccurate results in some situations, especially since the recorder doesn't actually know what the sensor's dynamic range limits are. We can actually see this with the R5C and HDMI RAW mode. The Ninja Ultra sees the output as Canon Log 2, or uses the Canon Log 2 profile for the HDMI RAW signal. However, the R5C doesn't have the dynamic range to fill that profile. Consequently, the false color clipping warnings will never actually trigger, even though the camera's sensor is actually clipping. But since the Ninja is looking for values approaching the Canon Log 2 clipping point, and that never happens, well, like I said, you're never going to get a warning that you're actually clipping when you're working in this configuration. Also note, while the ProRes RAW file recorded on the Ninja doesn't clip its values, since the sensor was clipping, there is going to be no recoverable information in the area. It's the same effect as if the values or the digital file was actually clipping. Now, as a result, at least for Canon cameras, and especially for the R5C with its limited dynamic range, I would not recommend relying on Atomos' monitor's false color system to warn you about clipping. Use the camera's false color or zebra overlay instead, since that will be more correct. So, as I said, there are 3 false color patterns: Atomos, EL Zone, and Arri. So let's take a look at what these are, and in turn, and what they are good for. Oh, and yes, before I get started, one thing to be aware of. The false color system displays a scale on the left side of the monitor's display. That scale will be hidden, but the false colors are not disabled if you hide all of the menus and overlays. So, the first of these modes is the Atomos, which is basically just a false color IRE scale. If you've been around video long enough, you've probably heard of the IRE scale, and while most people talk about it will say something usually sarcastically about how it stands for the Institute of Radio Engineers, and then deride and laugh about that, few really explain what IRE is and what it's actually about. So, the IRE scale defines a scale that has 100 points, essentially a percentage range, that's based on the voltage between a composite video's blanking level and its white level. Roughly in digital terms, though this is not 100% accurate, that can sort of be thought of as translating to the broadcast legal range in your digital files. So, 0 IRE is about 7% of a full-range digital signal, and 100 IRE is about 91% of a full-range digital signal. Hence why the IRE scale goes from -7 to 109 on Atomos monitors, as that's what's necessary to cover a full-range digital signal. In any event, if you saw my video on the Atomos zebra patterns, this is the same scale that those use. Though always as if it's being used with native monitor mode, not one of the other ones. This also means that if you're using a log curve, you have to know how your curve converts scene linear values to log values that are stored digitally to use this scale effectively. If you just treat it as a Rec 709 IRE scale, where you would set light skin tones to have an exposure level of around 60 IRE, you'll almost certainly overexpose with most log formats. For example, if you're shooting in Canon Log 3, you'll actually want to expose skin tones, or light skin tones, in the 25 to 44 IRE zone, since 36%, which is one stop above 18%, which is about what a light skin tone should be, will be encoded as about 43 IRE. Now, that said, while this scale works for log formats, it's not really ideal. In addition to needing to convert from linear to log and all of that stuff, the scale's range is also rather coarse. For example, the 24 to 43 IRE section covers an almost 2-stop range in Canon Log 3. And given that this is the range that you'd probably be wanting to use for properly exposing skin tones, pretty much all of them, that's kind of a big deal. Honestly, if you're working with log data, we need a better system for this than the Atomos thing. And of course, Atomos gives us two options for that. First is the EL, or Exposure Level Zone System. Now, where the Atomos or IRE scale is based purely on digital signal levels, not actual exposure data, the EL zone system is based on exposure-dependent or exposure-level-dependent data. It specifies 17 color zone steps from -8 stops to +8 stops, centered around 18% reflectance. Now, to use this pattern and the ARRI pattern, your monitor must be configured for the correct input settings. Since these two patterns both take signal levels, like 440 digital values, and convert that into an exposure level, in this case that would be 36% for Canon Log 3, for that to work, the monitor needs to know what curve it's working with to be able to do that math correctly. But this also means that you don't have to do the math in your head. Now, the EL zone system is designed to give you the most information possible about your scene's exposure and luminance levels. But unlike the ARRI pattern, it does this by applying the false color to the entire image. Now, this is good in the sense that it provides a lot of data about what's going on, but personally, I find it also makes the image harder to parse as an image as opposed to an abstract art piece. Now, that said, as an exposure aid, it is very effective. Though, unlike the ARRI pattern, I also have to admit I find it a little bit harder to internalize the colors in a way that I know exactly what I'm looking at quickly when I'm looking at it. However, while I make that comment, that is partly because there are more colors, so you have to remember more stuff, and a big part of it is certainly my own experience, which I have much more experience with the ARRI pattern than the EL zone pattern. In any event, there is some logic to this. 18% is represented by gray. It's in fact the only monochrome color in the pattern, at least assuming you don't count black, so it's fairly easy to recognize. It's also 18% gray. Levels above 18% are colored in warm tone. Pinks, yellows, oranges, and red. Levels below 18% are colored in cool tones, specifically greens, blues, and ultimately purples. Now, in this system, skin tones are helpfully noted as being also pinkish colors, with an orange pink for the +1/2 stop and a fleshy pink for the +1 stop. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the EL zone pattern is that you may not see all of the colors, and therefore you do need to know what color matches your camera's clipping point. For example, with Canon Log 3, there are only about 6 1/3 stops above 18%. So your clipping area isn't going to be when you hit the +8 white zone, it's going to be when you hit the light pink +6 zone. Now, if you shoot with other settings, you'll need to determine what your camera's and your chosen log curves limits actually are to be able to use this. Now, the second exposure relative false color pattern, or exposure dependent false color pattern, is Arri's pattern. This pattern is similar to the EL zone pattern in the sense that it's built around both exposure index or exposure index dependent data, as well as independent data as reference points. Now, the main areas in this zone are clipping, shadow black detail, and mid/skin tones. Now, in this system, the clipping and blacks, or the noise floor references, are based on data levels, not exposure information. And Atomos devices will calculate these using the configured gamma curve that you set to be what they should be. Clipping, or at least approaching clipping, is indicated by yellow, then red coloring. ARRI defines these colors so that yellow indicates that you're 2/3 of a stop below the white clipping point, and red indicates that you're 1/3 of a stop below the white clipping point. Now, in my testing with a Canon R5C shooting Canon log 3, I found that the red level indicator showed up one stop below clipping with an average 10-bit value of about 907 in a central testing area, and the yellow warning showed up at about 1 1/3 stops below clipping with an average value of about 872 in that same central testing area. Now, unfortunately, this is quite a bit off from the stated or standard -1/3 and -2/3 stop ranges. The pink, that's the 18% plus a stop or 36% zone, came in covering a range from 37% on the high end to 32% on the low end. Now, while this is certainly skewed darker around 36% than you might want, it does cover 36% and it's narrow enough to be good to use. The 18% zone I found covered an even narrower range, from about 18.3 on the high end to 16.7 on the low end. Now, again, this range is skewed dark, but it still covers what it's supposed to, and it's also very narrow, so it's pretty accurate. Now, the final two zones are the blue and purple, which represent the edge of shadow detail and the image's noise floor, respectively. Now, with my camera setup, I started seeing significant blue coloring at about 0.37% scene luminance. Though I should note that this is about half as bright compared to when Canon shows blue on the false color function on this camera. Purple started cropping up at 0.17% scene luminance, though the test area wasn't fully purple in this case. Full purple coverage happened at about 0.048% scene luminance, and like the blue edge of the shadow detail zone, my Ninja started displaying purple well after my R5C actually does on its false color display. So the short of it is that while Atomos' implementation of Arri's false color pattern doesn't quite match what Arri says it should be or what Canon does on their cameras themselves, it works. And it works in ways that count. The pink skin tone and green 18% zones are right on the money. Even if they skew a bit dark, they still are good. The clipping warning comes a bit early, but it still warns you when you're approaching clipping. You just have more headroom than you might otherwise expect. And the edge of the shadow detail and noise floor zones fall at about the edges of the shadow detail and noise floor, even if they don't exactly agree with what my camera is showing. So, with all that said, let me wrap this up with some thoughts on Atomos' false color implementation. Now, to say that I prefer false colors to zebras on Atomos devices is an understatement. There's already enough things on my mind when I'm shooting. The last thing I want to have to do is do math to figure out what threshold I need to set my zebras to get the right results with the camera and log curve and all of that I'm using. False color, at least the Arri and EL zone patterns, don't have that problem. Further, the choice of false color pattern is nice to have. Part of that comes down to consistency. Having all my gear use the Arri pattern means that I don't have to consistently relearn or rethink about what color means what and what I should be looking for. Plus, I personally find the Arri pattern, since the non-highlighted areas show up as grayscale images, to be much less of an abstract art piece and much more usable when I'm working, even when I have the choice of using other patterns. That said, I hope you found this useful, or at least interesting. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button. Also, if this kind of thing seems like it might be your kind of thing, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Finally, if you'd like to help and support this channel, you can help us for free by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and leaving a comment with your experiences. Likewise, you can support us by hitting that thanks button or buying yourself something you've always wanted from one of the affiliate links in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.